Welcome back to Ravenous Babble. My name is Dan, and returning today for his second episode of Babbling On is Nick.
What up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Today, Nick and I will be babbling on about Dusk Till Dawn, the next supplemental set for Flesh and Blood, coming July 14th of 2023. While there's a lot of focus on Outsiders with the pre-release coming up this weekend, we thought we'd pull back a little bit and look into the future of Flesh and Blood for a little bit of content diversity, if you will. Plus, Nick may or may not be a huge fan of Prism.
Only a little bit. Only a little bit, okay? She's definitely not a pin in my bag at all.
We got a couple different topics today. I guess we'll start off by talking about the return of Light Illusionist and Shadow Runeblade. You think we're going to get Prism and Chain, or someone else?
That's honestly my assumption. Because of the printing of Soraya, just off of that, I'm assuming that Prism has to get a reprint no matter what at some point, and this is just too convenient for it not to be both of them, for the fact that it's effectively the next set of Monarch.
True. So, in the leak that happened, where they advertised for Dusk Till Dawn, they do specifically say the return to gaming tables of fan-favorite Light Illusionist and Shadow Runeblade heroes whose predecessors have attained Living Legend status, but they never blatantly say Prism and Chain. That's where I start to speculate.
Well, off of that, I'm assuming it's 100% confirmed, personally. But the difference is it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be Prism Sculptor of Arclight. It's going to be Prism with some other new words and a new ability.
Yeah, if they come back, it'll probably be, similar but different.
Yeah.
Do you think that she could be going the Dromai route? And instead of using Ash, she uses Spectral Shields? So like the Invoke Soraya card, but, more of them?
I mean, maybe, just more like angel-type creatures is what you're thinking?
Yeah. With like a ward theme, I guess.
I mean, maybe. Maybe.
Maybe. So, I have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Shiana. So there's
no.
So there's this lore article.
Mm-hmm.
Tidings in the Light. It's from
Okay.
March 4th. It's pretty lengthy, but there's one point when she's talking to like this Grand Council of Soul. I'm not sure their names. I'm not that deeply entrenched in the lore.
Mm-hmm.
But this one caption says, "The Grand Magister's words shatter the silence like the sun breaking through a mantle of cloud. They turn to Shiana, their blazing eyes searing through Shiana's mind. Her petty ego scurries and squirms, trying to hide, trying to escape the steadfast, ineluctable gaze. It cannot. One by one, her precious anxieties melt away, executed in iridescence. She is forged anew, impurities exorcised, a servant and instrument devoted to the glory of soul." I'm just saying.
Listen, I get it. I understand.
Yeah. And she's a shapeshifter. Maybe she's moldable.
Potentially, but she could be something new of light instead of an illusionist.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take a Shiana regardless,
Yeah. Listen, I don't have a Shiana yet.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a bad time to need one.
I know. Well, no. If I get Prism, I get Prism. I'm happy.
That's true. She could go down after skirmish season, maybe.
Probably. She does every year.
Yeah. All right. Shadow Runeblade. I'm having a hunch. Maybe it's Sutcliffe. Maybe he found a body.
No, he's the head on Arachne.
Well, okay, yeah. I definitely think that's a theory. His head is stitched onto Arachne's shoulder. That's the lump.
Mm-hmm.
But just carrying him around until he finds a vessel. Boom, Shadow Runeblade.
Shadow Runeblade.
Or Chain.
Most likely Chain.
Probably.
Which is exciting. It's gonna be nice to have some old faces back in the meta. It'll be nice to see Guardians go away for a bit again.
It'll be cool to see new takes on them, definitely.
Absolutely.
Alright, Dusk Till Dawn brought with it some other things too. Some buyouts.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there haven't been other buyouts happening, but specifically Carrion Husk, Phantasmal Footsteps, even some older things like Brave Forge Bracers. They start going up because of Bolton speculation. It's mostly the cold foils that have been going up a lot, but even the rainbow foils have been going up a little bit too.
What's Brave Forge Bracers up to?
It did hit 90 at one point.
I think it's around 80 right now, actually.
Okay.
Alright, quick fingers, I'm searching. Which makes me excited, because I pulled one and bought one for $40.
Right.
So...
You pulled it literally right before it went up.
Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, quick stonks, got it. And I got my carrion husk for what, $80, something like that.
Yeah, not that bad.
Up to 133 right now. Now I gotta look for the boots real quick.
How many pairs of shoes you got?
3.
Not a
Paid
bad
3.
place to be.
1 cold foil, 2 rainbow. I paid a lot for the cold foil, but this was like a height of Prism's career.
Right. I got my cold foil pretty recently, right before the market was about to shift, and definitely like I don't know, like a month before this news. So it's good timing on my part.
Listen, art-wise, it's one of my favorite cards too.
It's gorgeous, dude.
Just beautiful. That's why I can't wait to make Prism again, so I can see this card every day.
All right. So yeah, speaking of Carrion Husk, speaking of Shadow and Light heroes, Bolton and Levia. Sorry, gotta say it the right way.
Sorry, Mansant. Praise be.
Please forgive. What kind of support you think they'll be getting? You know, we kind of got the hint that Levia would be getting support about 10 months after Worlds, and kind of lines up, so...
I'm hoping for something good, because I've honestly always wanted to play Levia, but, like, she just hasn't been ever viable enough.
Right. Mostly the issue is the inevitable variance of just losing to yourself throughout the day a number of times. Mm-hmm. So maybe they'll give something to kind of relieve her of blood debt for a turn. I don't know how frequently she would need something like that.
Yeah, I mean, she does that. That's what she does on her own.
Yeah. So you kind of need, like, maybe, I guess an equipment would probably be the best bet to just pop when you need it.
Yeah, instead of taking blood debt this turn, destroy this.
Right.
Kind of like a ward factor, but only for blood debt, so you have to hope that you don't blow it up early by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't expect it to be an easy button for Levia. I'm sure there'll be something to it. What kind of support you think we'll be getting for Bolton? Anything coming to mind on that?
God, hopefully something. Right? He's just not good. Like, I understand the thought process on him and like how he can work, but it's only into certain matchups, and whatever is doing well in the meta he is not beating ever. He's beating the things that can't even beat anything. He's beating things that are just like not doing good in the first place. It's like a 10th grader going to fight a 5th grader because the 12th graders are beating them.
Yeah, sometimes he just gets lucky, right? You know, you just get the combo faster here and there.
Yeah, Spirit of Arena was not enough of a legendary for him at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, but...
realistically, that card should have been play it, get one, and the next one you play should be an instant.
Yeah.
Or they can all be instant.
Tutored for one or something?
Yeah. I think that would be game-breaking for Bolton. Like, Bolton would have shot up in the rankings right there.
Yeah.
Honestly.
You think we'll be getting any other Light or Shadow heroes?
Potentially? I mean, maybe. I think just because it's a supplemental, we don't... Like, what kind of heroes have we seen in supplemental sets that weren't just reprints before? Besides Arachne, which obviously... But, like, there was a slot for him specifically in that set. It wasn't, like, just kind of, like, there.
It could be like that, since there's a focus on Light and Shadow. It could be kind of heavy toward that in the sense that we were heavy in Assassin. But I don't know if it's not like another Light Warrior, like if they don't like bump Dory up to Light Warrior or something. I don't know how it would work well, because there's probably not enough generic Light cards and generic Shadow cards to support another hero without having the specific support in, like, you know, Light Warrior and stuff like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, if they were going to do something for Dory, they would have done it with the Classic Battle set when they made a new one. Like, if they were going to make her Light Warrior, that would have been the time to do it.
Right.
As much as I'd love to see her be Light Warrior, like she should be, but she's not, sadly. Poor little baby.
And I don't know, like, I haven't reviewed it, but I don't know that the Light Warrior cards would necessarily support her. And there's also the fact that she has already gotten a new young hero. I mean, James White did name Dory after his grandmother, I think. So she is probably held in high regard to him, but for a hero to get a third iteration that soon, when some haven't even seen a second, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't expect it at all for it to be like a Light Warrior again, like a new one. As cool as it would be, but she should have been Light Warrior, because there are some good Light cards that could bounce off of her style of play, which would be dope.
Yeah, that's true. We could get some young-only heroes. They're pretty good at just dishing those out.
That would be pretty awesome, just to get, like... God.
We could even get a fixed Bolton or a fixed Levia, like...
Just for
just for the hell
I
of
mean,
it. Why
think
not?
about Arachne Solitary Confinement. Like, they made another one because
Yeah.
we don't know how regular Arachne is going to do in Blitz, but this one's apparently going to do well.
Yeah, it seems like it's going toward that way.
Yeah.
So the Fabled card. Think we're going to get a Shadow Fabled to kind of counterbalance the Light Fabled?
I think it should be. Honestly, that's 100% should it be. It would be really dope to see. Because it's just more support that Shadow definitely needs. But maybe that's what they do, is that is what, like, when that's out, you permanently don't have Blood Debt until it dies.
Yeah, the Fabled should definitely have something to do with Blood Debt. I would like to see something elsewhere, like I said, with equipment. I wouldn't want the Fabled to be too, like, integral to the Blood Debt plan, because that's how you get, $500 plus Fable immediately. But if it's like a landmark or something, like you said, like, while it stays out, then your Blood Debt's turned off as long as you're maintaining it. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be something as simple as like a channel effect. You have to banish shadow cards from your graveyard or something.
Well, no, that's just good for them. I would say it would definitely have to be like a pit effect.
Shadow cards from your banish into your graveyard?
Channel Leg Du Monastery.
Yeah, I was searching around for locations to try and figure out what it could be called if it was a landmark, and the only thing that stood out was the gateway to Arathiel, which I think is like a portal to like a shadow realm. Not Yu-Gi-Oh.
I think gem-wise would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, that could be pretty dope. Like, like when you pitch it, turn off Blood Debt, or a minus X Blood Debt this turn. Something like that.
That could be good.
Like, maybe -2 Blood Debt this turn. Cool.
Yeah, just something small. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, just some nice little padding for them. That's it.
Hopefully it's their time to shine. Or shade. But hopefully they get a Fabled in this set.
I hope so. Because what was... Dynasty was CNC, which is definitely weird compared to all of the other Fabled.
Right.
But then with Outsiders, they went back to a gem again, which is cool. The CNC is still just throwing me off. But then we had Grandeur in Everfest, and then in...
You're just thinking about gems?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about the gems and which sets they were released in.
Yes, we had Heart in W2R. We had Eye in Arc Knight Shard in Crew. I think we went right to Grandeur after that, because we had the 2 landmarks. Then we had Blood of the Drakai in Uprising. Skip Dynasty. And then, what is this one called? Plague Hive?
Yeah, Plague Hive.
Plague Hive and Outsiders. So it does seem like it's always a gem or a landmark based on what we've seen so far. I would really like to see a landmark again. Like, not only just because it would stay out and maybe affect Blood Debt, but just because I think that's a pretty cool type of card that we've only seen 2 of. So I'd like to see what they could do with that, how they would explore developing that card type.
Yeah, and I was going to say something about, like, main set gems are typically generic, but that's not true. I was actually incorrect.
Not anymore, yeah.
It was only the first 2 were...
They probably saw that doing that repeatedly would probably end up resulting in something busted eventually. Not that hard to find dolls,
Currently $4.49, baby.
Not bad. Yeah, the Fabled cards are going crazy right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I honestly need to get a Grandeur just so I have it.
Yeah, that one shot up too. It's crazy.
It's up to 189.
Just wait for the reprint. They're out there. They're in warehouses apparently.
It only went from 150 up to 189.
Yeah, and it probably won't hold either.
Yeah, not even that good.
I like it. I'm a sucker for Fabled cards though, just in general.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, I even, at least for a day, I tried to run Blood of the Drakai, and then I was like, oh, this just doesn't work.
I feel like it could. And
it could.
I want to make it work, and I just don't know how to do it.
If we get more one cost draconic cards to the point where your deck isn't a ton of zeros, then that card's amazing. But until that day,
yeah,
I had such high hopes for Emperor with it, and then I look at it and I'm like, oh, they play Blaze Hedgehog, and that's it.
Blaze Hedgehog.
and I guess like Flame Call, Awakening, and like a Phoenix Flame or 2. That's it.
You just throw everything at the wall decks. They're just fun to play.
Yeah. So what else do you want to see? in Dusk Till Dawn as far as support for other classes.
Other classes?
Classes, talents, anything that exists. Like, because I assume we'll get support for other things. It'll just be a lot of light and shadow.
Yeah, but if we do get the reprints for Prism and Chain, we're gonna get Illusionist and Runeblade support. Overall. Yeah, Mr.
He said the magic word.
I know. But what's cool is, like, I'm actually excited for the Illusionist because maybe this will help Dromai finally to, like, really put her on, like, the major front lines. Like, yeah, she's doing well in the meta. Actually, not even in the meta. There's, like, the meta of being played right now, but she's not finishing it out. Like, she can top 8, but she ain't winning.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's tough right now, man. It's a cold meta.
Very much so. That's why I love my deck.
Like, so many good heroes are converting better now than they used to, but once you hit that top 8, there's no time limit. That all changes. It all goes away.
It's like Game of Thrones, and you hit the wall when you're heading north.
Yep.
You're just like, oh, that's a lot of ice.
Speaking of Runeblade, I wouldn't mind a new weapon, since Rosetta's probably going away soon. Maybe they saw that ahead of time. Maybe if we get Shadow Rune, well, we will get Shadow Runeblade, but maybe they'll make the mistake again and not make it a Shadow Runeblade weapon, like how Rosetta should have been elemental.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
I mean, it should have been elemental, but like it doesn't have an elemental effect. So that's why they didn't make it elemental.
True.
That's why they just made it Runeblade. If the weapon itself doesn't do something of that type, they're not going to make it that type. You know.
What about Voltaire? Does that do something like that?
Just the +1 and go again. Is it elemental?
I believe so. Yeah. Otherwise, Azalea would run it, right?
It is an elemental ranger weapon. Oh.
Those weapons, that whole set, just kind of feels like mishmashed, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm hoping whatever weapon they come out with for the Shadow Runeblade, whether it's chain or otherwise, I really hope it's just straight up Runeblade. Like, I'm not trying to say Rosetta 2 Electric Boogaloo, but if Rosetta's going away, I don't want to just be stuck on Nebula Blade. I want to have some options, and I don't think they'll be bringing back Duskblade, so...
Listen, Nebula Blade Supremacy is coming, and people don't see it yet.
I mean, it's a good weapon. I just really like how Viserai plays right now.
Mm-hmm.
So having a one-cost weapon would be ideal, I think. But, I mean, there's definitely some benefits to running Nebula Blade. You could run their defense reaction, reduced to Rune Chant, because you'll pretty consistently have a Rune Chant when you end your turn, which is nice.
Yeah.
Considering the quivers that are coming out in Outsiders, I'm wondering if we'll get a Lexi specialization quiver, since she will be the only ranger at this point that won't have a specialized quiver.
I honestly don't think in Dusk Till Dawn. I think that'll be in, like, the next heavy elemental set is when we'll get hers. But I think she's honestly more excited to run the legendary one from Outsiders at this point. I think that'll be way more beneficial for her overall.
Yeah, she is getting quivers regardless, so there's that at least. She's not getting left out completely. So there's a chance we could get some other weird little things, like how we got Hyperdriver and Dynasty reprinted, and we got the full cycle. We could get Run Through, like we only have the yellow for that. We could get Pack Call, we only have the yellow for that. It might be interesting to see some cycles completed, you know, assuming they're cycles that should be completed. I don't think I want to see a Lunging Press, yellow or red.
Why not?
0 cost attack react for +3? I don't know, man.
But it's good.
The blue one does enough emotional damage as it is.
Emotional damage!
Lunging Press for 1. Oh, it looks like that erase face hits. Unfortunate. Jeez. Yes, let's actually take a look at Pack Call real quick, so we can see what benefit changing it would really give it. Because if you gave us a Pack Call blue, you'd have to reduce the power down to 5, and then that's just not good.
Right. Typical brute blue.
And then going up to 7's fine, but it's more of a you want to defend with it card, so I don't really see the benefit of other colors of Pack Call, personally.
Right.
Like if the effect did something that boosted the attack or something like that, or when it attacks, I think it would make sense to have the other colors, but just because it's a defense card, it doesn't really need the other colors.
That makes sense. Run Through would be pretty cool in Rainbow. I assume a +3 and a +1, respectively.
Yeah, and since it costs 1, that's actually not too broken overall. But I think that's honestly just too much go again for Dory. Like, Dory has enough currently that she can threaten it enough, but I do see it how it could heavily benefit her, to actually like bring her heavily back into the meta, because she can do well. Like we saw it do well at the local ProQuest where Nick won. Other Nick, not me.
Yeah.
With
Took that
Dory,
by
which
storm.
was yeah, that was exciting. I honestly didn't expect us to see a Dory top 4, let alone win the whole shebang against 3 Phis.
With how many steel blade shunts? It was like 7 or something like that.
Something like that, man. It was ridiculous. No, but run through could definitely be a very cool one. But I just don't know. It really depends on where they're gonna go with the supplemental, and like if they're gonna give Warrior that kind of like heavy support.
Right.
But I don't see why they wouldn't. I think it would be an actual really good card to see in a Rainbow.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be really interesting to see how much support each class gets, if all the classes get it, just because of how many slots are gonna get taken up by the Shadow Rune Blade and the Light Illusionist, just in general. Because if there is a new Prism and there's a new chain, they're probably gonna be slightly different. They're gonna need some cards within their wheelhouse that are kind of more appropriate for however they're gonna play,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to how they used to. So I'm wondering if every class will even get anything.
Yeah, I think honestly the only thing that they really have to do to those two heroes is just kind of give them a nerf, regardless. I think realistically we might see a mainstay hero that actually has less cards in hand in CC,
Oh,
because that's
with chain?
no with Prism.
Really?
Yeah, I think Prism would have been more fair and balanced overall if she can only have 3 cards in hand. Because just being able to pitch a yellow and run basically 50 yellows in the deck overall, like you can, which you can do in her deck easily. He ran basically 3 blue, or no, 3 runs of blues and a couple reds, which those reds were just like powerful illusionist
Right.
cards that you threw at the end of chains, but it wasn't like a heavy enough amount of them for it to matter. With 3 cards or 4 cards with a card in arsenal, I think that puts her right there. Like, or like she doesn't have an arsenal, something like that. But that would be dumb
Now, would you
to
say
not
the
have an arsenal.
majority of her power came from Luminaris, though? Like, all that go again for the yellow, that's all Luminaris, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So that's the other thing, too. We could see Prism, but, like, what is she going to come in with a weapon? Is she going to have to use Iris of Reality?
There's no. I
Like,
mean, she can do fine with Iris. Like Iris isn't a big deal for her to use, but I don't think it would be viable overall.
mhm.
Because then she'd have to go heavy blues, which is fine. It is fine, but I think they're still gonna make her yellow based just because they might want to get the chest plate back into the running.
Oh, that's true.
Uh,
Vestige of Soul?
Vestige of Soul, thank you. I played it for what 2 months, and then Everfest came out, and it was like,
Whoops.
oh yeah, we ain't running that no more. Once we realized we can go heavy aggro and not have to worry about pops as much. Once we
Yeah.
got the heavy blue aura support from Everfest, it was just kind of over from there.
Now, if they went away from how she played before,
Hmm.
how would you feel about that?
I would still play her. I just love Prism
Okay.
regardless. No matter what, I'm still going to play her once she gets reprinted. It's just, is she going to be viable? Is she going to be my secondary deck? Kind of like how I have Icelander on the side at all times. Like I have the deck built, I just don't play it.
Right.
Like it might just be like a play so that other people know how to play against it, but it's not my favorite play style. Like I understand that it currently Icelander's doing very well, and I have that deck built, and I can play it. I just don't want to. I like my other deck way better. And if this Prism comes out and she's not good or she's not great overall, or I just don't like the play style, I would probably secondary her personally.
Hey, is what it is.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is an opportunity for them to take the character as it is and kind of go a different direction for each of them. Because I don't know how you could really. It would feel like a cop out if they just kind of nerfed what they did.
Hmm.
Because then are they even good at that point? Would they even see any play? It depends on how they nerf them. I feel like they would just go a different direction trying to keep a similar theme, which is why I really wanted to be based on that Invoke Soraya theme, using special shields as your Ash effectively. But at the same time, thinking about it, I can't help but wonder if Soraya was just their equivalent of the Shadow allies from, was it Doomsday and Eclipse?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but that's something I think I would like to see, just because you kind of gotta. It's a different balancing factor. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have Ash, it's just there, but with the special shields, they have to not be popped for you to summon your thing.
Yeah.
So I think it could be interesting depending on how they do it.
Yeah, honestly, you could literally just reprint Prism again and then change Luminaris overall. But you'd have
Yeah,
to. It depends on what you would really do with Luminaris at this point, because being able to generate a Spectral Shield on Prism would be perfect for her. Like, you just get to guarantee gain an Ash
yeah,
effectively in Dromai. Like, if Dromai had an effect of pitch 3, make an Ash, you know?
yeah. And I don't think they would print a new Prism or Chain without printing a weapon to go with them too, because the weapon is pretty much half your character.
Oh, yeah.
I can't see a world where they would print a new chain and be like, "Yep, use a Nebula Blade."
That's it. That's what you
That's
get.
the option. Get that Dread Scythe out.
Listen, he could do it. I
Okay.
don't know. I mean, Prism would be okay if she just had Iris. It's
Yeah.
doable. You just don't want to.
I guess using those weapons, it would just depend on what other kind of tech they get, but
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see new weapons for each of them. I mean, hey, maybe even a new generic illusionist weapon. Maybe there's more room to build Dromai. Even more ways.
Sign me up. Irish Dromai was so fun. It was just a meme though, and I want to be able to play her with like mini dragons. That's it.
That was
Just
like a
mini
flavor of
dragons
the
the
month
whole
kind of
way.
thing.
Oh, that was so fun. But I like doing that. I like being able to just make a random deck out of nowhere and just kind of pop in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, surprise, Shorty. It's a meme, but you lost to it, didn't you?
All right, let's talk reprints. So
Mm-hmm.
we finally got the answer. We're getting surgical extraction. They're going to print it at a rate that's equivalent to that of Dynasty, so we'll have a normal population overall of the card, and they're going to reprint it in the same style, so its number will be DYN 122, which is cool. So I mean, there should be no distinct differences unless there's some weird printing issue, like one's glossy and one's matte or something. But
Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome. I think that's honestly kind of geared me up to want to play Azuri at this point.
yeah,
Because originally I was like, I don't want to play Azuri if I have to wait for this one card, and I'm not paying $90 a card for a Majestic. You
two sets
know,
of CNCs too much for you in one deck.
I I want to run. I want to run the card. I'd
Yeah,
have to run the card if
it's
I'm running
good.
Azuri.
There's
You know.
especially when you read her and you realize it's two or less.
Listen, I just want to
Surgical's
point
great.
something out. I said it 3 weeks ago. Not 3 weeks ago. Whenever they released Azuri and what she does, everyone was talking about like, oh, CNC, oh, race face. The first thing I said was, oh, contract cards, because people are sitting there talking about like, how are you going to generate silver? I said, and I quote, you just run contract cards and use her ability to get contract cards in, and you already have the pushover. You know it's going to hit. Great. So now that I get to do that, I mean, I pulled a surgical yesterday, which is fun,
Yeah,
but
out of how many packs?
way too many. I can see at least 4 cases on my floor.
Well, okay. I mean, yesterday alone.
Oh, yesterday alone, 3 packs, baby.
Yeah, you scoop up 3 packs and get a surgical. Oh,
Last 3 packs of a box, and actually, it was the last 2 packs and 1 pack out of another one, but it was one of the last two out of that box.
yeah. It's pretty great news. I mean, I didn't buy in super high on surgicals, so I'm not mad that they've already started to tank down to like 50
Mm-hmm.
bucks already. But the fact that LSS saw their mistake, saw their error, and they were like, "Oh, supplemental set, throw it in." They were so quick to respond to the issue,
Mm-hmm.
and probably in the best way they could have, because we had come up with a couple ideas, like maybe they could release it as like an armory promo or an event promo or something. But like, it's kind of weird. It would kind of screw with the population a little bit of the
Mm-hmm.
card and the price. But releasing it in the exact identical format, it's probably the best way to go about it. I know some people were mad and some people were also misinformed, like, oh, the foil's going to be so much because it's not getting reprinted as a foil. But
Yeah,
if,
but the
if you
foil
had
was printed at
researched
normal
it,
rate, right?
yeah, if you had researched it, the foil was printed at its normal rate, so it should be unaffected outside of price memory, I guess, and it being over $100. What other reprints you think we'll be seeing? You think we'll see a glistening steelblade in the set?
I would love to see that, because I don't want to have to buy the card separately, but I also want to have to buy the 3 classic battles just to get those cards and have all these extras of cards that I only need one of.
Yeah, and the thought that it's, you can find them cheaper than this, but the thought that it's like $49.99 MSRP You would have to spend $150 at retail to get 3 copies of it. That's so much. And I'm not opposed to putting unique cards in decks like that. I think the Monarch decks had stuff like that. They had the Mentors. But if you're going to put it in there and price it something like that, that's not like a Blitz deck, you got to put 2 copies in or something.
Absolutely. Because if there was 2 in there, it wouldn't be, what, $30 card right now?
It'd be like 10 to 15 probably.
And that's reasonable to buy separately.
Yeah.
I would have no issue just picking those up, having them,
Yeah. And I mean, you can, like I said, you can find the decks for cheaper. My brother-in-law found them for $25 on a shelf in New York. You can find them online for like 30. So, it's not bad, but considering the MSRP and the intent of what they're going to sell it at, like, that's a lot. Also, it's kind of weird because my entire Dory deck is foil except for the glistening steel blades.
They were just not foil in those sets?
Yeah, they only come in non-foil.
Oh, gross.
Yep. Which I guess the opposite being true would have been just as bad, one way or the other. Like, the only way out is for me to just have a non-foil Dory deck. But we're in too deep.
Yeah. We're trying to keep.
So what do you think about... we've seen this in the past. We saw Tunic get reprinted. We saw Arcanine Skullcap get reprinted when it was in high demand. What do you think about Crown of Providence? Do you think it's too soon to see a reprint?
Absolutely, honestly. With Uprising still being in printing, I mean, I literally bought a box yesterday, or Monday. I don't see the need for us to do so when they can still profit off of the actual set that it comes from.
That's true. Yeah, I was kind of crunching numbers the other day because I figured we're going to need a Crown of Providence reprint sometime soon. I don't think that the community as a whole can wait until HP3, because if they're doing it every other year, we wouldn't see it until, what, like 2027?
Yeah.
That feels real bad when you think about it like that. So, I mean, I see like a couple outs, one, it being in this set. They could wedge it into another set, I guess.
I mean, I don't see why not. It's just a great card to be in any set.
Even if they gave it the CNC treatment, if they made a
Marvel
fabled Marvel out of it, like that would at least help the price a little bit, because I feel like a lot of people would move toward that more so than the CNC fabled.
Yeah,
because at least you only need one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that wouldn't be too bad if they did that for like the supplemental sets. Doing a fabled Marvel for one of the legendaries, I think that would be pretty dope, honestly.
Yeah, you could take the pressure off the other printings. That might help a little bit.
Oh yeah, it would immediately drop. I mean, look at what it did to CNC. CNC was going for what, almost 200 for a rainbow foil?
Yeah.
What are they up to now?
The rainbow foils, I think, are like 130 to 160.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like that.
Like, even a $50 decrease is great.
Yeah. And I mean, we haven't seen it yet, so there's no precedent for it, but I mean, they could always put it in another set. That's always an option. The only other thing I can think of other than waiting for HP3 is if they start doing like master sets, like Magic does.
I don't want it. I don't want it. Survive. Figure it out. I don't want 17 sets a year. Like,
right, yeah.
I think the 4 sets a year is where it should be. 1 a quarter. That's it.
And I was mentioning this the other day that like it feels good as someone who played Magic for 20 years that like, especially toward the end there, it feels good leading up to Outsiders that I'm actually gaining anticipation for the set. Like, I'm getting excited. With Magic, it's just like I turn around and there's a new set announced or there's spoilers coming out, and I don't have time to get excited. I have time to like look at my wallet and be like, all right, can I afford this?
Yeah, like you look at Magic sets, like they announced 2 to 3 sets out. The only reason why we even got Dusk Till Dawn, like even like any knowledge about it, was because somebody leaked it out of a book. That was it. That's the only reason why we know Dusk Till Dawn exists.
Right.
LSS didn't officially announce it. I don't
after.
think. Yeah. I don't remember them officially doing it.
I believe they did. They at least mentioned it with Surgical Extraction because they made an article for that.
Oh yes, correct.
Which was after the fact. They
were not the first ones to officially announce it. Like, we got it from a leak, and then they were like, all right, well, the cat's out of the bag. So we still wouldn't have known about this until after Outsiders and all that hype died down.
Right.
I normally wait until 2 months, or about 2 months out to really like even start like hyping up a set, and I honestly just can't wait.
And honestly, all things considered, especially with surgical extraction, like specifically, this was probably the best time they could have announced it.
Oh, absolutely, because we're
Because
going to this, and people are going to be price gouging for people to get this card.
Exactly. Like the fact that they announced it, like, okay, it kind of like tempers people's expectations. Card's going to neutralize a bit, but it's not going to tank into the ground as if Outsiders had been out and we're like 2 months away from Dusk Till Dawn. And then it would be like, oh, well, $10. Get away from me.
People would lose their minds.
Yeah. So the fact that Izzer is coming out is kind of helping to maintain the price of the card and help stabilize it, which is good for people who maybe bought in at $75 each for the playset the day before that announcement.
Yeah, I would lose my mind. But on the seller's point of view, imagine selling it for $20 and then seeing that it was misprinted, and then seeing that jump after selling it for $20 a piece.
I actually pulled one out of the like 13 boxes, so you think I would have got it through my head that the rumor was true. But when the rumor started that it was like short printed and the card was expensive, I don't think I had heard the short printed part of it yet. I saw that it was spiking and people were saying it was spiking. I was like, oh, let me sell mine. And I sold mine almost immediately, and then I found out like 2 days later it was short printed. I was like, oh no, what did I do?
Oh no. And here we are. I mean,
Yeah,
you got mine off of me at like $40.
Yeah, trade for yours, and I think I bought 2 at 30 each, right before Outsiders, I think, was announced to have like Assassin and such. I think right before like all the characters like got dropped randomly one night. So good timing.
Absolutely, and really good on LSS for sure for announcing it at all. They didn't have to. They didn't have to reprint it.
I am a huge fan of how LSS handles pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people talk shit on it. Oh, Duskblade exists, bad opening experience, but at least they came out and had the balls to say we made a mistake. Like, I don't know, Ragavan with Magic. Like, you don't see Wizards coming out somewhere and being like, hey, sorry about the monkey.
Sorry about the monkey.
We done goofed. You get nothing like that from Wizards, but that's one of the reasons I like LSS. They're very in tune with the community, and they learn. That's the biggest thing.
Listen, you don't see the Magic creators sitting at tables playing with people in a random field event.
That was amazing.
It was so good. And when you see James White, you're like, hold up.
The fact that day one, you're just watching the stream and it's James White doing was it sealed or draft? It was limited of some kind.
Yeah, it was limited of some kind for sure.
Yeah, of WTR.
Yep.
I saw a picture of him at the event later on in that day, and he's literally just leaning on a table, just shooting the shit with players there, and I'm like, is this happening? Like,
listen, I'm hoping to bump into him at Pro Tour for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I expect him to just be at the end of an extremely long line the entire weekend, but
absolutely,
it was really cool that you got to like kind of mix and mingle with the players. Yeah, I can't wait to hopefully meet him at Pro Tour as well. We'll see how that all goes down. If there's a giant line, if I have to wait in line for 2 hours like people had to at Worlds.
Listen, we're both going to scrub out in the calling and then go wait in line.
You damn right. All right, you have any other thoughts on Dusk Till Dawn, or are we letting that sunset?
Give me my Light Illusionist baby back.
Give me some generic Runeblade cards.
That's all I want. I just want Prism again.
All right, man. Well, I guess that's it. We'll wrap it up.
All right. Thanks again for having me. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at @ThreatenLethal.
Oh, with the plug.
Listen, I have to now that I have a Twitter.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, stay safe. Keep playing great games. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Shout out to the Ravenous Babble patrons who keep the channel going. If you would like to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/RavenousBabble and see which tier is best suited for you.